Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the couch. This is Jeanette with Reacting Realms, and today we have our Fourth Wing Part 2 recap and review. And if you remember in my last recap of Part 1, I had just gotten the audiobook. I hadn't gotten the physical book because I was getting it from my library. I was able to get the physical book for the second half of the book, which I am eternally grateful for now. If you remember back to my first recap, the first half of the book, I was like, this is just a wholesome fantasy book. There wasn't really anything, you know, concerning, and I was kind of like, well, I feel like you could should like read this to kids and stuff. It'd be fine. I take that back. After reading the second half of the book, I do not recommend this for children. This book is a dirty, dirty book. I felt like I should be staying up late at night and reading this when nobody else was around, which is in fact what I did. I My cheeks are turning red just thinking about it. It was, and it kind of came out of nowhere. The actual like spicy part of the book. I I mean, I kind of like I thought it was going to happen, but then I was like, well, maybe it's not going to be that bad. It's going to be like, fade to black. So they do not fade to black. There is no fading. They go through the whole thing. Anyway, we will get to that as we get through our recap. So much happened in this second half of the book. I feel like the first half of the book was a lot of like setup, but not a lot happened. You got to meet a bunch of characters. You kind of got to know Violet really well. And then the second half of the book, it was like, phew, everything happened. So let's jump into this recap. When we left off, Violet was getting murdered. As you do in your bedroom, when you're sleeping. She was going to sleep. Her dragon, Tarn, I don't know how to pronounce his name, wakes her up and is like, people are trying to kill you. And she wakes up and people are trying to kill her. And she is about to get strangled. There's a bunch of people non-bonded in her room, but there's also one actual bonded because her door was locked, and the only way anyone could lock it was if they have magic. So it had to be somebody with a dragon that opened her door. Okay, so she is about to die. She's getting strangled by one of the guys that she stabbed in the threshing earlier. He is pissed because he didn't get a dragon, and he thinks if he kills her, maybe he'll be able to get one of her dragons. And so she's getting strangled, and she's about to pass out, and then Andarna lends her power, and her power is to stop time. So Violet is able to stop time. Everybody freezes around her, and she kind of like pushes the dude out of the way and slinks away out. And as she does that, or maybe like right as she does that, Xaden bursts into the room. He's about to save her, but she's kind of like already saved herself at this point. And so she, like, to them, she's like there, and then she's like there, right? As time, Andarna can't stop time for a very long time, but it gave her enough time to get out of there. And then Xaden is like, blink, blink, what just happened? And then he sees her neck is getting that she got strangled, seen a bunch of people trying to kill her, and then he like releases his shadows and fucking murders everybody in there. Every single person. There was like 6 guys in there, and he just kills them all with the shadow. Xaden is quite powerful, as we are starting to learn. And he also is clearly passionate. He does not, well, first of all, if she dies, then he could die. But also, like, there's something going on here, right? We kind of knew stuff was going on. This is definitely like an enemies to lovers trope. So he kills everybody, which actually is okay because the laws of the Codex are that you cannot murder people in your sleep. Totally fair. You can murder people left and right all the other time, but in their sleep, no can do. So him murdering them, totally fine. No problems there. So he murders them all. And Violet's kind of like, okay, but also somebody opened his door, and she's like, maybe they're going to believe me. Nobody's going to believe me. She decides to tell Xaden who it was, because it was like, I feel like her name might have been Amber. I can't remember her name. Also, she's dead now, so it doesn't matter. I don't know if you're noticing a trend here, but I don't remember people's names who are in it for a very short period of time. And then die. And that's pretty much like everybody in the book so far, except for like 4 people. So she's a wing leader, I think, and she is attached to Dane, like Dane's friend, lover, maybe, who knows. So she's kind of like, nobody's gonna believe me. So Mr. Zayden, who clearly is like starting to fall for our heroine Violet, decides that she is still a weak sauce, can't protect herself. Decides that she's got 2 dragons now, people. 2 dragons. So he assigns his buddy Liam to like follow her around. And Liam's kind of like a big dude. He's in the same year as Violet. And he even moves his room. So it's like right next to Violet. Violet's kind of pissed about this, but I mean, to be fair, she kind of needs it. And I remember Liam's name because he's in the book a lot because he's always following Violet around. So the next day, I think it's the next day, they cleaned up all the dead bodies and they're like going to a meeting, as you do, and they want to find out what happened. Like, why'd all these people get killed? And they ask her what happens, and she's kind of like, I don't want to tell because she thinks nobody's going to believe her. And Zayden just comes up and is like, fuck you, Amber. You did this. And everybody's like, what? And Dane's like, come on, Violet. Tell everybody he's lying. It wasn't Amber. She's my best friend. And Violet's kind of like, well, it was Amber. And he's like, no, that can't be true. Hold on. Let me read your fucking mind. And he goes to touch her and she's like, what? How dare you? You fucking asshole, Dane. You're trying to read my mind without my permission. She's pissed, man. She's like, that's a violation. Plus, also, she kind of like knows secrets about Zayden now that she doesn't want people to know. And so she doesn't want her mind read. So instead, she like backs up and she's like, tells her dragon, Tarn, to tell everybody what happened. Because he can communicate with all dragons. And he saw what happened because he was like, he's in her mind. So he does. And everybody's like, oh, you did do it, Amber. Also, okay, well, now you get to die. And so she gets killed. And Dane's like pissed. He's like, that was my friend. And he has very complicated feelings about this, which is fair. He's going through some stuff, this Dane guy. I'm not liking Dane right now because he is, first of all, he is like talking to Violet like she's some weak lady, but she's like made it through a lot of shit. I mean, granted, she got brittle bones. She's really small, but she's like poisoned a bunch of people at this time. She hasn't killed anyone at this point. But she's gotten away from all these assassins, and he's like still trying to get her to leave. And she's like, nah, man. Nope. And now there's this going on with her and Zayden, so she's not leaving. So now Liam's following her around, and Liam and her go to like the archives because she's always going to the archives, and they find some sort of like announcement about some attack that they weren't told about. So normally they get battle briefs in the mornings and they get told all the battles that happened, but it turns out that management has not been telling them everything. No way. So they're a little pissed about this. And they're kind of like, this is like the first time Violet's kind of like, something's going on here. This doesn't feel right. Okay, so also at this time, she's starting to worry because part of being a dragon rider is that you have dragon magic. And all of her friends are trying to get their magic and their dragons are giving them their magic. So part of this is that the dragons, adult dragons, have to give you their magic. And if they don't think you can handle it, they're not going to give it to you. Now, baby dragons like Andarna, you can just take their magic. This is why baby dragons don't bond because they don't have control over their magic and they'll just give you all their magic. And the dragons don't. And their magic is really powerful. They can stop time. So humans don't know about this. She's the only one that knows about this. So she's like really agonizing over this because she's like, I'm supposed to be a dragon rider and I don't have magic. And also, she hasn't manifested her signet yet. Her friends all have signets. They're starting to get their signets. Rhiannon can like bring stuff to her. Like she can like, I don't know what it's called, but like she can just like get, if it's like across the room, she can just be like, come to me and it will come to her. One of them can like melt metal. That's pretty cool. The other one can like make stuff really cold, I think. And Liam, the guy that's following around, he's got like far sight. And obviously Zayden has got the shadows. He can control the shadows, which, they're like tentacles. I don't know. And Dane can, his signet is that if he touches you, he can read like the recent past, your memories. Mira's sister, hers is that she can extend the wards. So there's wards protecting their land. And she can extend the wards. Mira's brother was a mender. I think Mira's mom controls storms or something like that. And then I think I mentioned last time, the general guy, the lead of the army, he can see the results of battles before they happen, which is pretty cool. But we don't know what she can do yet because she doesn't know. So she's worried about that. She's worried about if Tarn's ever going to give her his magic. So she's like doing all that. And then, she walks in one day and Zayden and Garrick, his buddy, and one of the rebel children people with the ruins. I don't know what they're called for the tattoos. They're sparring. He's got his like shirt off. Zayden's got his shirt off, and she's like, okay, like kind of this is nice. And she notices all these scars on his back, and she's like, what the hell are those? And he's like, I'm not gonna tell you. And she's like, okay, we're gonna find out about that. So we're gonna find out about that for sure. Okay, so she's already like horned up here because she saw him with his shirt off. And then she starts feeling these like waves of like lust, basically. And she's like, what the fuck? She's like feeling hot. She's like, what is happening to me? And she realizes that it's coming from her dragon. That's right, people. Dragon lovin' is happening right now in this book. Her dragon is getting it on with Zayden's dragon, and she can feel it through the bond. So she's getting all hot and bothered, and she doesn't know how to block this because she's not very good at anything yet because she's just newly bonded this dragon. Normally, you can kind of like block off your feelings between a dragon and you, but she can't do that. And Tarn's having a good old time with, I always want to call her Seagull, but she's not Seagull. She's like Skull or something. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Anyway, that is, I'm going to call her Seagull from now on. So Seagull and Tarn are getting it on because they're a mated pair. And she's feeling really hot. So she's like, I got to get some air. And she runs outside. And who does she run into? None other than Mr. Steamy himself, but Zayden. And he's also feeling this a little bit, right? Because he also has the bond with his dragon. His dragon's getting it on with her dragon. So he's like, yeah. And she's like, I feel like I want to kiss you. And so that's what they do. They make out. And he is like, wait a minute. Like, I believe heavily in consent here. And you are not feeling your own emotions. And so we're not going to take this any further. And she's like, but I kind of want to. And he is like, no, I'm the bad boy with a heart of gold here, people. And no, consent, no means no here, people. And I'm not going to do it. So he breaks it off and he teaches her kind of like how to ground herself and how to kind of block out Tarn for a little bit. And Darna, I guess she could do it. She never really does because she doesn't talk to her that much. So they have their first passionate kiss, and it's clear he is into this as much as she is. This is not a one-way street here, baby. He wants this. But he is a gentleman, my friends. He is a sexy, dragon riding, powerful, gloomy gentleman. So he says no and pulls her apart, and that's all we get for now. But I feel like the tension is building between these two, right? Okay, so back to some sparring, right? There's a lot of sparring in this book. I'm actually excited. I hope they do this well in the Amazon show. Okay, so Jack, asshole Jack, who last we saw was trying to kill Violet, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, during threshing, he tried to kill Violet, but then she threw a dagger at him and he ran away. But he got a dragon and he hates her still. I don't know why. I mean, now I do because she stabbed him in the arm during threshing. But like, why in the first place? Not really a reason. So he's just an asshole. So Jack decides that he wants to challenge her to a sparring match. And the teachers had kind of known that he was probably going to try to kill her. You're allowed to kill people during sparring matches. Totally allowed. Unless they're in your squad, but he's not in her squad. So he can kill her. So Liam hightails it out of there because he's like, I gotta go tell Xaden because she's about to get killed. Because Jack's like a big dude. Also, he's got his powers. He's got magic, which she does not. And you're not supposed to use your magic. But he's breaking all the rules. He's like beating her up. He's like sticking his magic in her and she just takes a thing of oranges and smashes it in his face because she likes to poison people. And there's like one line earlier in the book that says like he doesn't want oranges around him or something. I vaguely remember this line, and she remembers it too because she realizes that he is in fact allergic to oranges, and he goes into anaphylactic shock. And so she once again kind of like survives on her own. But she kind of like he does injure her quite because she's fragile and brittle. And he does get his hands on her. I think he strangles her again. Girl gets strangled a lot. And then she kind of like passes out. And she wakes up and she's like in the infirmary. And Xaden's sitting there with her. And he's just like, oranges. In his sexy smoldering look. And she's like, yeah. But she told somebody that before she passed out. And so they were able to also get Jack to the an infirmary, and he survived. What the fuck? So he's alive. She survives. Xaden decides that she needs better training. She sucks. I don't understand this because she survived. She did what she needed to do, and he didn't kill her. In fact, she would have killed him if they didn't like heal him up. But anyway, he's like, you suck, so I'm going to train you. Okay, thanks, Xaden. So now Xaden has all these, like, training times with her where he's teaching her and they're having, sexy banter and all that, putting hands on each other. Then for some reason, I can't remember why, but I'm sure there's a very good reason, her squad gets sent out to some outpost. I don't know, it's like a training exercise or something, like outside. I think they go outside the wards. No, they don't. But anyway, out, away from the school. And who's stationed there? But her sister, Mira. And Mira is there. And Mira is like, oh my God, sounds like you're doing really good. I can't believe you bonded 2 dragons and all that stuff. Also, here's your book of fables. That's right. She saved the book of fables that at the very beginning, Violet wanted to take with her. It's the book of fables that talks about these like magical creature guys that steal magic or something, and these like they make dragons called wyverns. But it's all myth, right? It's not real. But somehow her dad has a copy of this, and no other copy can be found. Nobody knows anything about it except for her dad and her. So that's kind of weird, right? So somehow during this, Rhiannon, of all people, convinces Violet to go fly off to like her family's home, which is like an hour away. And Violet's like, yeah, cool, let's do that. And Mira is also apparently, yeah, cool, let's do that. So they break the rules and they go to visit Rhiannon. You're not supposed to see your family in the first year, but Rhiannon sees her family because she's got like a nephew or something. And they're there, and guess who shows up? You guys are never going to guess. If you guess Sexy Xaden, you are right. It's Sexy Xaden. He shows up. He is like, I'm here. No, he's not. He sits there and simmers and is like, hi. The reason why he's there is because their dragons cannot be apart from each other for more than a few days because they're bonded. And if they are, they get really nasty and uncomfortable and could potentially die. So he flies out to see her because she's been gone for a few days. And when they get back to the outpost gets attacked by griffins. And so he's like, get out of here. Mira's like, get out of here. And she's like, but I want to stay. And they're like, no. So she flies off with Zayden, and Mira stays and fights. And obviously she is worried about her sister, but her sister survives, so she has no reason to be worried about her. So she goes back, and then they have these like fighting games where they have to get it's kind of like capture the flag, but on the dragon back, and it's like an egg and not a flag, but there is a flag too, and you're supposed to defend your flag, but you're supposed to capture an egg. Anyway, unimportant. Uh, but during this game, at some point, Jack somehow like confronts Violet, and he's about to kill her, and then all of a sudden, Violet finally manifests her signet, and her signet is lightning. She like strikes this mountain that he's on, and the whole mountain crumbles. And that is the end of Asshole Jack. He dies under a mountain. Thank God. Jack is finally dead. Violet feels kind of bad about it. I do not feel bad about it. I'm like, fuck Jack. He's been trying to kill you this whole time. And he's an asshole for no reason. And also, you're allowed to murder people. So she doesn't get in trouble for it. You're allowed to murder people. People died in this. They want people to die, right? So Jack's dead. Thank God. Hallelujah. He's dead. So Violet goes back to her room, and she's obviously feeling upset about it. She's never killed anyone before. This is the first person she's ever killed. Fair, I guess. And guess who walks in her door? I'll give you guys 3 guesses. If you guessed Zayden, it was Zayden. It was definitely Zayden. He walks in her door looking all sexy, and he's all, "You feel bad about this?" And she's all, "I feel bad about this." And then they start making out. And then they start doing more making out. And this is the part where you want to take your children and put them somewhere else, because you do not want to read this in front of your children, because this scene is the sexy times, and they describe everything. Everything. It's a romance novel. I've not read a romance novel before, so when I'm reading this, I was like, I felt like clutching my pearls. I was like, no, oh my God, what? It is a very descriptive sex scene. They have very passionate sex. Very, 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 very. I mean, plus they're magical, right? So they're having magical sex. And she's shooting lightning bolts. I think she actually starts a wildfire outside because she's like feeling so good, and the sex is so just like explosively amazing. Of course it is. It's Zayden. He's good at everything. So of course he's good at sex too. And everything, he's like smashing shit because he's really into it. And everything gets smashed and set on fire, basically. It's just, it's a wild scene that I am wondering how that's going to turn out. How are you going to do that, Amazon? How are you going to do that, Amazon? Because that's going to be some rated X scene. It's got to be. You gotta do the scene. That's going to be some like HBO level Amazon. And to be fair, Amazon has The Boys, and The Boys does have some explicit scenes in it, but this is more, I mean, if you've seen like The Boys is more violence and gore. I mean, there is sex in it, but it's not quite, it's more humorous in a lot of ways. This is not going to be humorous. This is going to be sexy, and it better be sexy. Okay, so they bang, obviously, and it's really good, and she's like, oh, man. And I'm like, oh, man. We're all like, oh, man. So they are kind of like, oh, and also, so she also asks him about the scars on his back, because now he's naked. And he says that there's 107 of them for the 107 rebel children, and he made a deal that he would take responsibility for all of them. So if any of them actually rebel, then Zayden dies. So he got whipped or something. He got scars on his back for each one. And this is why all of the other children's love him. Like Liam is super, super like dedicated. All of them, they're all dedicated to Zayden because of this. He's the oldest one. And she picks up her book of fables at because she's cleaning up because he destroyed her room in that very explosive sex scene. And so she picks up and a note from her dad drops off, and it's very ominous. This is something like around like the time will come and you'll have to make a choice or something like that, right? Uh, and she's like, wonder what that could mean. Also, it was in this book of fables that nobody knows about. Wonder what that could mean. Wonder what's going to happen there. Okay, so Jack said they had sex. Then they are going to have this party, right? So um, they every year they celebrate the ending of the rebellion, and from a lot of people, this is a good thing. Yay, rebellion over. For Xaden and the children of the rebels, not a good day. But they're required to go, so she gets all dressed up in her like uniform dress or whatever. And hangs out with Liam, and then she decides she's gonna go find Xaden because she's had enough. She's like, you know what? This is a bad day for him. He's probably really sad. And he's taking care of me all this time, and I'm gonna go take care of him. So she goes up. He's on the parapet. Remember the parapet? The parapet is this like tiny little walkway up really high, and if you fall off it, you die. And he's sitting there, and she's like, I'm gonna walk out on it when it's windy. So she walks onto this parapet. She is in her dress, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like, I'm coming out there. And he's like, go back. And he meets her halfway, whatever. And she's like, oh, maybe this is a bad idea. But also, she's like, I want to do this. Like, I want to do this. We need to be all in. Like, you care about me. I care about you. Let's do this. And he's like, okay. And he gets her off the parapet, first of all, then takes her back to his room. And once again, we have graphic sex scene. Graphic sex scene number 2. I don't think it was very far from the first one either. So, but that's it. That's like, it's all in like this one area of the book. So they have fantastic explosive sex again, and probably light some more things on fire. I think she blows out his windows or something. She's in his room this time. And then there's a knock on the door, and they're literally in the middle of it. And Zayden's like, fucking what? And it's his friend Garrick, and he's like, we gotta go. Everybody's getting called up. There's like war. And they're like, okay, so they get dressed. Okay, so she like throws on Zayden's jacket, which has his like number of stars on it. Because remember, he's like a 3rd year and a wing leader. And so everybody's kind of looking at her like, we know what you did, girl. And she's like, yeah. And then, so they're all lining up, and they think that there's an attack and they're all going to go to war. And they're like, just kidding. It's war games, baby. So war games is like the final exam, right? This is like the end of the year, final exam. You got to pass this to move up or graduate. So they're all the wing leaders all kind of given instructions. Dane sees her and sees her in the coat, and he's not stupid. He knows what's going on, and he's like, I just can't believe it. Xaden comes, and he's like, you got to come with me, Violet. And she's like, what? And Dane's like, fuck that. No, she's not going with you. She's supposed to be in my squad. And he's like, no, back off. And they get into a little yelling match, but then Dane's like, you got to make a choice. And she's like, well, duh, I choose Xaden because he's fucking hot and good in bed. And Dane's like, ugh, fuck. And so he says to her something weird like, I'll miss you, Violet. And she's like, that's a weird thing to say to me. So she and Xaden pack up and go off on whatever mission they're supposed to go on. She doesn't really know why he's taken her, but he did. And so she's with all of the other, she starts to notice that they're all the other rebel children. So they land to get some water, and they decide to go behind a rock and start making out, as you do. And she's so happy right now. And then suddenly there's like a commotion, and Griffin riders are there, and she's like, oh fuck, we're gonna have to fight. And Xaden starts walking towards the Griffin riders, and she's like, okay, we're getting ready. And he goes, you're a day early. What? You're a day. He knows them. This dude, she has been worried for this entire book that he is working with the enemy, and He is working with the enemy. He knows the Griffin Rider. She is fucking panicking. She's like, oh, fuck. He got me away from all of my friends. He got me away from everybody. I'm surrounded by traitors. What the fuck? And he's suddenly like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Wait, wait, Violet. I need to tell you. You just need to give me a chance to explain what's going on. And she's like, oh my God, this better be a good explanation. And he's like, okay. So, turns out your fable book is true. There are actually venom people, and they are the real enemy, and they are these magic wielders that are basically like absorbing the life out of the planet and the magic out of the planet, and it just like destroy, and they're killing everybody, and they're gaining ground, and they're probably going to be up to the wards in like 6 months or to a year. And we've been giving weapons to the Griffin Riders because they're the only ones fighting them. The dragon people won't fight it. And also, this is what the rebellion was about. The rebellion wasn't about rebelling, it was about being angry because the leadership wasn't doing anything about the real enemy. And she's like, mind blown. I don't know what to do. Um, what the fuck? And then the venom attack. So Liam can see really far, and the dragons all sense something's not right. And so they like run up so they're stationed at this uh outpost thing, and it's totally empty. It's not supposed to be empty, but there's like a letter there, and it's basically like, you're fucked. That's what the letter says. So the people sent them there on purpose to get killed. And they sent all of the rebel children to get killed because now they know that the rebel children have been helping the Griffin Riders, and they're trying to keep this a secret. The higher ups are trying to keep this a secret. They don't want people to know. And so the Venom start attacking this town nearby. And so the Griffin Riders are like, we gotta go help, and we're probably all gonna die. And the Dragon Riders are like, do we go back? Do we help? What do we do? And they're like, well, we can't just let them all die. So they decide to go, and like, they're like, you got to make a choice, Violet. You got to choose what to do. And she's like, okay, let's go save them. And her dragons are like, we knew we chose you for a reason. But she's also pissed because obviously her dragons knew about these venom the whole time. These dragons are old. They're not like, and they fly all over the place. They knew about these venom the whole time. And they didn't tell her. She's pissed. Everybody lied to her. Fucking her boyfriend lied. Her dragons lied. Her mom's been lying to her. Everybody's been lying to her. So she's pretty pissed. She's confused. And she's scared because these venom are apparently really powerful. There's like only like 2 or 4 of them or something, and they're about to kill this whole town. So they're fighting. Everybody's fighting these venom, and they're magical, and they are able to like. At one point, they're like, one of the dragon riders is on the ground and with her dragon, and the ground just starts like basically like rotting or something, and she just immediately just dies because she's touching the tainted ground, and she just dies. And then somebody else dies too. There's like, I think maybe she's the only one that dies. And then the wyverns come. So the wyverns are like the dragons that the venom made. So they like somehow are able to make dragons, and they are super powerful, and they can be controlled by so they put magic into their dragons, whereas the dragon riders take magic from their dragons. So they're fighting. All these wyverns are coming out of nowhere, and there's not that many of them, right? And they're fighting and trying to kill all these wyvern, and it's not really working, and their magic is not working that well against them. And then at some point during this fight, Liam's dragon gets attacked by a wyvern, and she tries, but she's also, Violet and her dragon are also getting attacked, and she can't make it in time. And Liam's dragon dies and just falls from the sky. And Violet makes it in time to catch Liam, but it's too late because if you remember from the first part of the book, if a dragon dies, then their rider dies. That's it. That's all. If a rider dies, the dragon could survive. Sometimes they die. But if a dragon dies, the rider dies. And so Tarn kind of says, you only have a few minutes left. And Violet just holds Liam and makes a promise to like take care of his sister, and Liam dies. And I'm like, what the fuck? Liam was like one of my favorite characters, and he's just dead. Ah, this is why I don't learn anybody's names. They're just gonna die. Okay, so Liam's dead, and she's like, oh my god, and they're basically losing. All the people are dying, and they're not saving people. And then a venom drops onto her dragon, and she has to unstrap herself. And she's like, you better fly steady. And she starts fighting this venom, and this venom's talking about the sage, and she has no idea what the sage is, but it sounds like the venom itself has like a teacher or something called the sage. And she's fighting this venom. The venom stabs her with her poison blade, and she's like, I'm gonna die. And then Darna comes out and is like, take my power. And she stops time again, and she's able to stab the venom with the dagger, and the venom dies. And as soon as the venom dies, all of the wyvern that venom created die. And so she knows now that if you kill the venom, there's only like 2 venom there that have wyverns. So if they can kill the other venom that have the wyverns, then all the wyverns will be dead. So she tells this to Xaden as she's like, but she's getting poisoned, so she's dying. And Xaden is able to like kill the wyvern, the last one, and all the wyvern die. And she like blacks out. And this is the part of the book that I didn't really like, and because it suddenly switches to Xaden's point of view. Now, this entire book has been in Violet's point of view. So we've only got, and then for the very last chapter, we switched to Xaden's point of view, and I didn't really like that because the whole book is through Violet's eyes. Like, that was it. And if we had more chapters in Xaden's point of view, then I think it would have felt more natural to have it, but it felt like kind of just like weird, just one chapter from Xaden. But anyway, so it's from Xaden's point of view. They're in this room. She's okay, but asleep, and then she wakes up, and she's okay, but she kind of like has lost some of her memories a little bit, but she remembers enough to be like, "I love you" and kiss you and all that stuff. But then she starts to come back, and her memories start to come back, and she pulls away, and then guess who walks through the door? You're never going to guess. Anyway, it's her dead fucking brother walks through the door. Turns out he's not dead. So her brother was supposed to have been killed in the rebellion by Xaden's dad. But turns out that didn't happen. We don't know why yet because that's the end of the book. Brother walks in and she's like, what the fuck? And we're all like, what the fuck? And that's the end of the book. So much happened in that last part of the book. It was really like so fast. And I could not put it down. I really like this book in terms of it being a fantasy book. The story was fun. The particularly the last part of that was just nonstop. Like you couldn't put it down. You just couldn't put it down. It was so good. So loved the book. I'm already started the second book. When that comes out, I'll do a summary of that too. But the spiciness. Let's address the spiciness in the room. It did sort of feel like to me that well, first of all, I feel like it was earned. There was a lot of tension building up between these two characters. Enough you knew where this was going. Like you knew where this was going. But it felt like it was an earned thing, not just like it came out of nowhere. I will say the graphic nature of it did seem to come out of nowhere because I was not expecting that. I will expect it for next time though. So, but also again, I felt like as a I guess romantasy, it was very well written. Um, it did its job and it was good and it didn't feel some of it was a little like whoa but I thought it was really good and I thought these characters earned this moment, which I thought was really good. So I liked it. It was a little bit spicier than I expected. And I'm like I said before, I'm really curious how Amazon is going to handle this. So Amazon has the rights to this book. Now, my opinion is that Amazon should be true to the book. If you pick up the rights to a book that has a graphic sex in it, then you should make the graphic sex. They tried to do this, not Amazon, but it was like the Family Channel or something. Did this with a series called The Sword of Truth, which was by Terry Goodkin. And those books are pretty graphic in terms of the sexual content and the violence. And they took it and they made it into like a family show, and it was terrible. It was just awful. It didn't work. Uh, I'm I'm very strong in that if you pick up the rights to this book and this is what this book is about, then you need to pay homage to that. And if they tame this down and make it like a fade to black moment, I'm going to be pissed. Not because I'm like so into this, although it was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be, but also like I believe in staying true to the author's vision and to what the author wrote. And so this is like HBO level graphicness. This is like late night Skinamax level graphicness. So I feel like, listen to me, Amazon, don't fuck this up. Like, you paid money for this? You better show what the book is showing here, buddy. Because if you don't, there's going to be a lot of angry female fans that have been waiting for this and they want this. So don't mess this up. Um, I'm excited to see who they cast as both Violet and Xaden. They're clearly the most important characters in this book, and they have to get those castings right. And if they don't, it's going to be a huge problem. They need to have Xaden be very charismatic, but also strong, tall, broody. He needs to be able to express himself with his face because he doesn't actually have a lot of lines for most of the book. And also, he needs to, but also have fighting skills. I mean, there's a lot of fighting in this book, and I'm actually really looking forward to that part of the book to see in the Amazon show because the fight scenes should be good. The interesting part about this book is that a lot of the characters behave in a very YA fashion, but the themes of the book are very adult. I mean, people are dying left and right. Do not get to know these characters. They're all going to die. Actually, I'm not like I'm pretty sure Violet and Xaden are going to survive. I wouldn't put money on anybody else in that book surviving. So, there's this whole like world around them that is brutal and vicious, and the book isn't really written in the same way that the themes are, if that makes sense, because the characters themselves aren't taking it quite as seriously as what's happening. And so there's kind of this disconnect in a little bit, and I can kind of see if Amazon goes darker than even the book does with some of these themes. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be a while, at least probably 6 months, I would say, until we even start getting information on if they're even casting anyone. I do think like they have a showrunner, I think, but that doesn't mean much, I think, in terms of how fast everything's going to be moving. So that being said, I really liked this book. It was really, really exciting. Oh, hi, Zoe. How are you doing? Did you like the book? I'm actually still going to listen to the audio portion of the second half of this book, mostly because I'm very curious if they're really going to read all that dirty stuff out loud. I want to know. Uh, I don't want to read it out loud. It makes me blush just thinking about it. But I'm really curious. I'm not going to listen to it with my daughter in the car, though. So I'm still waiting for the book. I think I'm still like 4 weeks away from the second part of the audiobook. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. Really good book. I highly recommend it. Just be warned, this is not a PG-13 book. This is a X-rated book. But otherwise really good. They should, I wonder if they cut out the sex scene, I think it would be a pretty good like YA book. Next time I will be reviewing the second book because I am about halfway through with that now. And I am tearing through it much like I tore through this one. So I would expect that I'll definitely be done with it maybe by the end of the weekend, I would think. So do not forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. What are you looking forward to? Are you going to watch the Amazon show? Are you more of a book person? Did you listen to the audiobook version? And what did the dirty parts sound like? We all want to know what the dirty parts sound like. Anyway, thank you for joining me on the couch for this review, and I will see you all next time. Bye.